bulls continue to maintain the momentum as markets gain for the third straight day. Sensex and Nifty closed at fresh 2019 highs. The Nifty shot past the 11,300 mark. Sensex is comfortably above the 37,500 mark now, gaining over 200 points today. Banks led the charge with the Nifty Bank Index rallying over 1.5% to end the day at a record closing high. This is the biggest three-day gain that the Bank Nifty has seen since October 2017. But the mid-cap saw some profit booking today, with the index ending 0.5% lower. Now, the big story from North Block: the government could be staring at a revenue shortfall of 1 lakh crore rupees as the financial year draws to a close. Government officials tell CNBC TV 18 that it will be an extremely challenging time to meet the direct tax target, and ministries have been told to go slow on expenditures. Sapna Das is here with the details. Sapna, what's the Finance Ministry's plan of action then?
So basically, the picture that we are getting right now is that it's a bit of a struggle to try and meet the fiscal aims of FY19 as of now. Every year, some challenges do turn up as far as the FD number is concerned. But this year it's looking to be particularly challenging because, the tax revenue front consistently has not kept pace with the government's expectations. As you were rightly talking about direct taxes, the interesting number there to look at is the fact that the growth rate is somewhere around 14.7 to 14.8% currently. That was the rate that was required to meet the budget estimate, which was 11 lakh crores. So if you go to the RE number, the growth rate would be above 19%. That's the required run rate. They are nowhere near that. So that's the one big challenge that we are looking at immediately. And mind you, in the FRBM statement in the budget, at the time the budget was presented, government had mentioned this point very clearly that the GST shortfall, and there was the RE is lower by around 1 lakh crores. So already that much they are expecting to absorb in FY19 in terms of a lower revenue number. Apart from that, they have said that to make up this gap, basically, they will be using a higher direct tax number of by 50,000 crores. And all of that is for corporate taxes. There we are getting to understand that probably the picture has turned sluggish after the December quarter. So that's where we are as of now. Of course, the advanced tax numbers will come post 15th March. They will keep getting updated right up to the end of the financial, probably even spill over into 2nd and 3rd April. But whether that kind of traction will be achieved, it's a very big question mark as of now.
All right, Sapna, thanks for joining in and breaking that down for us. Now, we are a week away from the 34th GST Council meeting, and sources suggest that the GST Law and Fitment Committee has made their proposals for the realty sector. They have proposed a reversal of the input tax credit on input goods and input services lying unused as of March 31st by the real estate developers via GSTR 3B. Timsy Jaipura, who has these details, is here with the exclusive. Timsy, what are you picking up with respect to what the GST panel is proposing at this point in time?
Well, that's right. What we understand from sources as of now is the fact that the agenda is almost set for the upcoming GST Council meeting, and the GST Law and Fitment Committee has proposed that the only way forward for a smooth transition on real estate, that is from old rates to the new lower rationalized rates, is that the ITC on the input of goods and services which is lying unused as on 31st March 2019 should be reversed by real estate developers through their return form, that is GSTR 3B. And government feels that the ITC benefit available to the real estate developers will actually lapse and die over there itself. And from 1st April 2019, any new invoice raised by the builders will have to be charged at 1% for affordable housing, again without ITC, and at 5% without ITC for other than affordable housing. Now remember, the 34th GST Council is all set to meet on March 19 to finalize the transition norms for the reduced rates on real estate. Now meanwhile, the government has also assessed an impact of this change, and this assessment actually is a little worrisome for the home buyers because the cost of affordable housing could go up and the cost of luxury housing could drop once this transition happens. Also, developers might go in for repricing of projects, and it will be tough for the government to track the procurement clause that they have put in, which says that 80% of procurement needs to be done by registered dealers. Also, this entire scheme of things might result in a sudden increase of anti-profiteering complaints. So it's a mixed bag that government will have to take a tough call on in the upcoming GST Council meeting. We'll keep you posted.
Okay, Timsy, thanks for that. Now more from the GST space. GST Council has sought the Election Commission's nod for its upcoming meeting. Sources say the Council has informed the poll body that it took the rate decisions. The Model Code of Conduct came into effect and now it will only announce procedures and rules. On to another big corporate story from the real estate sector. Blackstone-backed Embassy Office Parks is planning to raise 4,750 crore rupees via India's first real estate investment trust listing. The issue is scheduled to open on the 18th of March. In an interaction with CNBC TV 18's Kevin Lee, Michael Holland, the CEO of Embassy Office Parks, said that the company will use the proceeds for acquisitions and debt reduction.
We're very thrilled, as I said earlier on, to be in this position. I think it's a game changer for the industry. So we're raising 4,750 crores. It's a primary offering. The sponsors will retain essentially 70% ownership of the REIT. The proceeds will be used to pay down existing debt levels. Debt today is a reasonable 27-28%. That will come down to a sub 15% level. And the rationale around that is so that we have the horsepower and firepower at a later stage, if necessary, to take on debt for acquisitions.
You have 11 assets as part of this portfolio spread across 33 million square feet across 4 cities.
Yep.
How much of that is complete? What is under construction? And what's the outlook on adding more projects to this portfolio? If I understand correctly, you have a right of first offer with the Embassy Group as well for about 47 million square feet.
Yep.
Take us through the future plans.
Yep. So today we have approximately 25 million square feet up, running, operational, 160 corporate occupiers. There's 2 lakh people working on our business parks. It's a really large-scale, high-quality portfolio. Then within the campus, we've got an additional 8 million square feet of potential development on multiple campuses across the portfolio. Today, I think we've got 2.6 million square feet under construction across 3 different cities. We often lease before we complete those buildings. That often acts as the trigger to bring another building on stream. As I said, the development is on campus, so it's very low risk in the sense that we own the land, we have the approvals, we've got the demand. So an 8 million square feet development growth is a good pipeline. If one wants to look beyond that, the Embassy ROFO assets, so the right of first offer assets, whereby Embassy sponsor has undertaken to offer a number of high-quality projects to us. We're not obliged to take those. There's a mechanism under SEBI regs for valuation. There's an independent vote on that acquisition and so on. But that could add up to, in the short term, and by that I mean 3 to 5 years, that could add 18 to 20 million square feet.
All right, moving on to the other big story today. India has finally grounded the Boeing 787 MAX 8 aircraft after 2 fatal crashes in the last 4 months. The decision comes after several countries moved to temporarily suspend the aircraft. The aviation regulator's order issued late last night called for immediate grounding of the aircraft. But SpiceJet continued to mount flights today, and in a statement on Twitter, the company said that it will suspend MAX 8 operations from today onwards. In fact, just yesterday, SpiceJet had defended the MAX 8 aircraft, calling it highly sophisticated. Anu Sharma is here with all the details on the grounding of the MAX 8 in India and across the world. Anu, what's the latest today?
Well, 10 airlines across 7 countries are the only carriers in the world which continue to fly the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. Over 65% of the global fleet of the MAX planes has been grounded, and now only around 127 of these planes are flying. Over 55% or around 72 of these are originating from the United States through 3 of its airlines: American Airlines, Southwest Airlines and United Airlines. Airlines from Canada, Air Canada and WestJet are operating around 37 MAX planes currently. US aviation regulator, the Federal Aviation Administration, today again said that so far no basis to ground Boeing 737 MAX planes, and their review shows that there has been no systemic performance error. Indian airspace, on the other hand, will be closed for MAX operations effective 1600 IST or 4 p.m. today. A meeting of Indian Airlines, SpiceJet and Jet Airways, the two Indian carriers which have the MAX aircraft, is set to take place with the ministry officials to decide the subsequent plan of action. While 5 MAX planes are of Jet Airways, but these are grounded due to non-payment of lease rentals, SpiceJet has 12 of these which are active. Now, SpiceJet has already started the process of grounding these aircraft, and it has said in a statement that by 4 p.m. today, all of these aircraft will be grounded. But then again, it will be important for the airline as it has 155 MAX planes on order, while Jet Airways has a total order book of 225 MAX planes. So it remains to be seen what kind of compensation are these airlines being provided by Boeing, and how much time does Boeing take to identify the error which has caused 2 fatal accidents in the same aircraft model within a span of under 5 months. Back to you.
Valid questions, definitely. And as you can see, the flashes on your screen, the meetings with respect to the MAX aircraft have begun, and the aviation secretary, the DGCA chief, airline companies are present at that meeting, and Anu is going to keep bringing us updates on that. Almost 5 years after its launch, there is now a clear runway for Vistara to fly to foreign locations. Vistara, the joint venture between the Tatas and Singapore Airlines, has received its long-awaited approval to launch international flights. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the green signal from the Aviation Ministry came just before the Lok Sabha election dates were announced. The airline has been hoping to launch international flights since last year after meeting a requirement for 20 aircraft in its fleet. Vistara is expected to launch its inaugural flight to Colombo very soon. Congress President Rahul Gandhi has promised 33% quota for women in government jobs. Interacting with students at Stella Maris Women's College in Chennai, the Congress President also reiterated his commitment to 33% reservation for women in Parliament and state legislatures. However, he stopped short of promising reservation for women candidates within the Congress. Later, in an interaction with the media, Rahul Gandhi also promised introduction of universal basic income if the party came to power in 2019.
And I look at the Parliament House, I look at the Vidhan Sabhas, I look at the different states, and frankly, I don't see enough women in leadership positions. I don't see them leading enough companies, I don't see them leading enough states, I don't see enough of them in the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha. So one of the things that we've decided, in 2019, we're going to pass the Women's Reservation Bill in Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabhas. And we're also going to reserve 33% of all government jobs at the national level for women.
Broadly, the economy has to be put on track. We have a revolutionary idea that we are studying, analyzing, and I am confident that we will be able to implement a revolutionary idea when we come to power. That idea is called the minimum basic income guarantee. That means that after 2019, there will be nobody in India below the minimum income line. We will decide a minimum income line, and everybody will be brought up to that minimum income line by a direct cash transfer into their bank account. There should be an investigation, and the people should be punished. Now, I know the question the hidden question you're asking, which is that, are we going to cancel the contract or are we not going to cancel the contract? That is a technical decision. That is nothing to do with us right now. We do not have the information on that. Okay? But the question of corruption is crystal clear. We have an investigation, and I am absolutely 100% certain that on the back of that investigation, Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Anil Ambani will be convicted.
Well, with less than 30 days to go for the Lok Sabha elections, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a special appeal to the section of society. In a series of tweets, the Prime Minister tagged Bollywood actors, political rivals, cricketers as well as news anchors, urging them to help increase voter turnout in the world's largest democratic exercise. One of the tweets was addressed to key opposition leaders including Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, Mayawati, Akhilesh Yadav and M.K. Stalin. Well, Well, crucial day for India at the United Nations Security Council. The UNSC committee is set to declare Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist, provided no member opposes the move. All eyes are on China, which has in the past blocked India's bids to blacklist Azhar and list him as a UN-designated global terrorist. Let's go across to Parikshit Luthra. Parikshit, what can we expect? Will China oppose India's proposal yet again?
Well, things don't look very good currently. In fact, at the latest briefing of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, the spokesperson said they don't remember any deadline as such. They also went on to say that only a solution which is acceptable to all can resolve the issue. So it's quite possible that China may just object to India's move once again, may cite lack of evidence, cite a lack of fulfilling the criteria for listing Maulana Masood Azhar, and this may happen yet again because China has time and again said that they are the best friends with Pakistan and they're all-weather friends. That is a statement that China has often made. At the same time, the United States is putting pressure as well, saying that according to them, Maulana Masood Azhar fits the criteria for blacklisting, and if there are moves to object to the proposal, to stall the proposal, then that will go against regional peace. India has been lobbying very hard with all 15 members of the UN Security Council. This is at the UN 1267 committee that India is trying to blacklist Maulana Masood Azhar. It is a symbolic move. It won't end or conclude the fight against terror, but it will send a strong political message to Pakistan that Maulana Masood Azhar has been recognized internationally as a person who has launched terror attacks against India from the Pakistani soil. It will also send out a message to Pakistan that China will no longer stand with the Pakistani government and the army on the issue of terrorism. We have been sharing dossiers and excerpts of evidence on the Pulwama attack. Audio files of Maulana Masood Azhar have been shared with all permanent members of the UN Security Council. We'll get to know what happens post-midnight, and if there are no objections or clarifications sought by any of the UN Security Council members, there are 15 in total, then we can take it for granted that Maulana Masood Azhar would be blacklisted, because of which he will not be able to move around freely. His financial assets will also be frozen.
Right, Parikshit, we'll keep getting Parikshit back to give us updates on what transpires over there. But for an exclusive from Deal Street, midcap IT company NIT Tech is in the process of finalizing a date for its board meeting to consider Baring Private Equity Asia's deal. The private equity player is likely to buy a stake in the tech firm at around between 1,420 to 1,430 rupees per share. Now, remember, we had broken in Feb that Baring Private Equity Asia had finalized the deal to buy NIT Technologies' controlling stake. So about 30.6% is roughly on the block, and the promoters are going to be entirely exiting. So the promoters are largely NIT Limited's founders, which includes Rajendra Pawar and as well as Vijay Thadani. What we understand is that the deal was finalized, but the nitty-gritties was being worked out, and now the price, as you saw on your screen just a short while ago, has been agreed on about 420 to 430 rupees per share. Now the street was going with around 1380 rupees per share, roughly thereabout of 1380 to 1390 rupees per share. So this is significantly a premium and quite a premium to the current market price. So if this does go through, brings in capital to NIT Limited, and of course is one of the largest deals in the Indian mid-cap IT space, worth $1.2 billion in terms of the overall valuation. Term sheet likely to be signed as soon as the NIT Tech board approves that deal. Now let's move on to another exclusive. After a recent change of guard at government-run canteen stores department, sources tell us that CSD, which is the single largest client for consumer goods companies contributing 5 to 7% of FMCG sales, is likely to hold its first large-scale open house discussion with business partners, which include the likes of big FMCG companies like HUL, P&G, Nestle, as well as startups and MSMEs. CNBC TV 18's Priya Sheth has exclusive details. Priya, first explain the relevance of this meeting, and when is this meeting likely to be held, and what are the issues on the table?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting meeting. Do remember that CSD has a new chief at its helm, and therefore we do understand that they are going to be holding an open house discussion with several of the consumer goods industry companies. In fact, do remember that companies including the likes of HUL, P&G, Reckitt Benckiser, as well as Nestle and many others, also startups and MSMEs, are likely to attend this meeting, is what we do understand. The meeting is scheduled for the month of April, is what our sources are telling us. But of course, this is going to be the first time that the CSD will be addressing all of the companies under one roof. It's going to be an umbrella meeting that we understand is going to happen. In fact, as far as the details of the meeting are concerned, it's going to be a mutual exchange of ideas. It's also going to bring about resolution on several of the pending issues. Now, issues like payments, orders, delivery control as well as quality control are likely to be taken up at this meeting. Also, with regards to product launches, typically there's a lag period before which products really reach the defense canteen. So therefore, they're looking at reducing the kind of lead time before which products really reach these defense canteens. So, we'll really have to wait and watch how this shapes up and what really the outcome of this meeting is. So April is when all eyes will be on what will happen. In fact, we did reach out to the CSD, and CSD has confirmed that the management will be interacting with business partners shortly, and the interactions will be with a view to meet aspirations of end users.
Okay, so 5 to 7% of FMCG sales come from that entire department. So that's why this meeting is relevant for all of these consumer goods companies. Thank you so much, Priya, for joining in with that. But we're completely out of time on this edition of After the Bell. Thank you for watching.